Hello students and parents. Thank you very much for joining us at Temasek Polytechnic's Open House webinar. You will be hearing about the options and opportunities available at TP and learn more about the admissions exercise that is coming up. I hope you will find the session useful. This coming week is an important one for you students as you decide on what to do next after your O-levels or after ITE. There are many good options available, whether you choose to go to a junior college or pick one of the courses that are offered by the 5 polytechnics. My advice to you is to choose a course of study that will best suit your interest, aptitude, and style of learning. If you decide to come to TP, please be assured that you will be in good hands for the next 3 years. We are committed to do our best to prepare our students for a world where industries are always evolving and where technology is constantly disrupting the way we live, study, and work. Beyond industry-specific knowledge and skills, TP also equips our students with skills that will make them strong leaders, innovative thinkers, and agile lifelong learners. We also develop our students to become responsible global citizens who can make meaningful contributions wherever they may go. So as educators, we are committed to nurturing your talents and abilities and empower you with the right skills so that you can achieve your dreams and create your own tomorrows, whatever that vision or aspiration may be. So I encourage you to explore our courses, our curricula, and our campus lifestyle. Today's webinar will give you a good opportunity for that. You can also continue to explore our open house website after this and listen to the sharing sessions by our lecturers, students, and even alumni, so that you can get a very good idea of what the TP experience could also mean for you. From 13th of January onwards, we will also be providing more one-on-one online consultations as well as course preview talks. Please go to our website at tp.edu.sg for more information and updates. And I wish you all the best for your O-level results, and I certainly hope to see you in Temasek Polytechnic. Please enjoy the rest of the webinar.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to what is probably going to be the last broadcast of the Open House season in 2022. My name is Pat, and I'm going to be your host just for a short while today. For this particular session, we have invited our alumni to come and speak to us. And because we are reaching out to them from different parts of the world, one is in the UK and one is calling in from Singapore, we had to pre-record this session. But just to put things in context and to explain what this is all about, first of all, we've always wondered, what happens to the design alumni when they leave us, where do they go? In many cases, some of them do start work, some pursue further studies, and some, as in the case of Felix and Gillian, whose stories you will hear in a short while, decided to seek their fortunes further afield. So it probably takes a lot of courage, for them to leave Singapore and venture further afield. In Gillian's case, she went over to Prague, capital of the Czech Republic, and from there she wandered through Europe. She worked, different roles, different jobs, before she is where she finally is now, settled in the UK as a brand consultant and account manager. Felix, on the other hand, has a very different story. He is a graduate from the apparel design and merchandising course. And in his case, he decided to fly the friendly skies for a while as an air crew before he went over to Japan to spend the better part of a couple of years, being the apprentice of an indigo farmer and an indigo dye maker. So with that, he has come back to Singapore and he started a whole new journey again. So I guess the takeaway from all this is design is ever evolving. It's exciting because it can take you to many different places. And certainly you need a fair amount of courage and passion to follow your heart and go where design takes you. And so without further ado, I'm going to pass the time over to Wilfred, who is just going to screen the videos that we have pre-recorded already. If you have any questions, please just leave them in the Q&A, and at the end of this, we'll see how we can respond to you after the end of this broadcast. Or you could also go into the TP website or the design school website, and even the open house microsite. There's a lot of information in there, and there are also many channels for you to reach out to us if you have questions after this webinar. As this is a pre-recorded webinar, we will not be able to respond to questions during this webinar itself. So I do encourage you to please go on to the various other channels to see how you can reach us, and we'll be happy to respond to you then. All right. Thank you so much for coming in and for joining us. I hope you find Gillian's and Felix's journey as interesting as I found them. Thank you so much. Wilfred, over to you. I just want to thank you for being here with us today. And guys, ladies and gentlemen, if you're tuning in, this is the School of Design's very first what I call fireside chat, and we call it Ever Since Young. It's a chance to really catch up with our alumni who have been really, really busy being out there in the greater world, whether in Singapore or overseas. And I have with us today, in fact, and he's just stepped into the call right now, two of our alumni, Gillian Tay and Felix Nai. Hi, Felix. If you can hear us and see us, please put your camera on and say hi. All right?
He's on mute.
Yeah, he's on mute. Hi, Felix.
Yeah.
I can't see you, but if you can, just try and turn the camera
Trying to
on.
initiate the camera here, so sorry about that.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to start with Gillian first, and a very quick introduction. So today we're going to talk about have a very quick chat about what it was like being out there, and what have they been doing, in their lives. And for Felix and for Gillian, they spent a few years overseas, and we've always encouraged, designers, design students to keep exploring. And I think Gillian and Felix have taken the word exploration to new levels, and literally left home to be in a foreign space with a different culture, and just experiencing life and design out there. And they are driven very differently, and you hear them soon, talk about their journeys. And we will start with Gillian today. Gillian's calling us from the UK, so it's bright and early today. And yeah, Gillian, thanks for being with us this early in the morning. Please do begin. I will share screen, if that's okay with you, or you want to say a few words first?
No, I'd like to say hi, guys. I am very proud to be on this first series. I'm very happy to share my kind of situation per se. I think design has always been something in my heart for a long time. I think with my decks and my slides, I can tell you a little bit more about myself from there.
Okay, so thanks, Gillian. Let me just share screen for your slides, and we'll get right on it. Felix, we'll talk to Gillian first. We'll let Gillian share her story, and then we'll come into you in a while. All right. Let me put it to full screen before we begin. Can everybody see the screen?
Yep.
Yes. Okay, Gillian, off you go.
All right. So I actually Vani would know this. I actually pick the theme of Alice in Wonderland, which is something I truly believe in. That's why I call it my Wonderland Adventures. Now let's go to the next slide. It says, why sometimes I believe as many as 6 impossible things before breakfast. I actually really believe in a couple of quotes that Alice in Wonderland in their book itself. Well, it says that some may call Alice naive for believing impossible things. And those type of people who chase a rabbit, those aren't the type of people who would chase a rabbit down its hole. Oh my God, sorry, it's a morning thing. Who needs them? Basically what it's trying to say, we always believe a lot of things in life, and then there are people in our life that will kind of go, it's impossible, why are you doing this itself? And I actually kind of stand by this quote quite strongly. maybe let's start with why I do so. Let's go to the next slide. So, as a very young child myself, I have interest for so many things, right? Like, at least believing there's 6 impossible things before breakfast. I myself believe there's so many things I can do in my life. But the one thing that really stand out for me was, art, doodling, music, wildlife conservation. That comes with the influence of like spending hours watching animation and television. And honestly, creative is something that is in my blood. My family is quite creative for some odd reason. Whole family is into music. Family are into art and craft. Sister actually does interior design and all that, so that's quite cool. And she's actually based in the US. So something that really caught my attention was kind of 2D animation, like Pixar and Disney, and then all sorts of films. As a kid, you have nothing to do when digital technology wasn't a big thing. All we could do is sit in front of TV and watch all the Disney film that my parents would put on LD and flip on both sides, or tapes that we might have. Stop motion, fine arts, and I love to tell stories. So sometimes as a kid, I would write my own stories and act it out with friends and things like this. Let's go to the next slide. So being a creative person, I've never been into exams. So examination was never kind of like my cup of tea. I'm not a huge fan of burying my face in books for hours. I could not memorize anything, but I could spend hours and hours and weeks on art projects. So therefore, I kind of majored in fine arts in secondary school. And of course, came Polytechnic days, or came the O levels. We had to decide whether we want to go to JC or go to Polytechnic. As I'm not a fan of exams, so I decided to choose Polytechnic. I wanted to be in either design or wildlife conservation. So obviously, for some reason, at that time, before SOTA was a in thing after I left, I had to choose Temasek Poly because we all know Temasek is one of the cool place to be. And obviously, it's great for its reputation for design. So let's go next slide. So once I graduated from Temasek Poly in 2007, we all think that graduating from school would be easy. But once we hit the real world, I actually picked a major in 2D animation for my FYP. And at that time, there was a transition from animation to 3D animation, and everything's kind of going digital. So I was kind of losing out in what I did in school. I'm not saying that it's a waste of time taking 2D animation, because it's always good to have your basic. So in order to do 2D animation, I had to put myself out in Japan or like the US, and then 2D animation wasn't a huge thing in Singapore back then. So I had to kind of tone down and learn what I did in school. And for some reason, I started off as a graphic designer with honestly just $800 as my first pay. Honestly, today I have no idea how I survived from that. I've worked in-house brands like Billabong. I've worked in odd little small companies, and I freelanced for years. From there, I actually learned a lot about how to communicate, to network with people, make more friends. And then over the years, I kind of, pushed my way through, and sometime along the way, I decided, graphic design wasn't for me, because as you work in different areas, you see people in different departments, you might go, okay, maybe that's what I want to do. And seeing my friends in marketing and traveling around APAC at that time, going for town hall like meetings or like global meetings, I was kind of jealous of it. So I wanted to do a little bit more than graphic design, and I can't stand the idea of sitting behind a computer for 10 hours and getting told what to do. So I decided to become a project manager instead. I started off as freelance with a boutique agency, and then slowly I kind of make my way through being a project manager. And then because, in advertising, you need to start from the lowest grade in your role, honestly. And then after it's kind of hantam my way through, or kind of like push my way through to being different roles of being an account manager. And that took years. And this all actually happened in Singapore. And then after that, after like maybe about 9, 10 years, I finally got to a senior account, because being a designer to a account manager is two different worlds. But I would say it brings a lot of great value with that, because you'll be considered like a hybrid. I wouldn't say it's always been easy. So obviously I had odd jobs in between, doing like instructor as a yoga teacher, or like Pilates, a surf teacher. I did retail, I did sales. So I wouldn't say my journey in advertising has always been so fantastic. I honestly have a lot of ups and downs. Um, but I kind of persevered, because I always have this passion in its area, because it kind of gives me a love and hate relationship per se. Okay, let's go on to the next slide. Another quote from Alice in Wonderland would be, "We are all mad here," right? Unlike the world Alice left behind, mad isn't necessarily a bad thing. Here, you should embrace a side of you which is quirky and unpredictable. And maybe when you get back to reality, you might want to take a little of that with you. So with my journey itself, I feel like there are people who always been telling me what I'm doing is not the best thing for me. I needed to follow the Singapore dream of being a banker, a doctor, a lawyer. It gives you more money. But I've never kind of fit into the norm per se. So I always think like we're all mad and it's fine. It's okay to be quirky and unpredictable. Next page, please. So I think one of the few things I want to, talk about would be, in this industry, networking is the biggest thing that you need to have on hand. It's not what you know, it's not how good you are, but it's also who you know that matters the most. And I wouldn't say it's just in advertising, I would say in all industry per se. And networking actually brought me along the way, because I can honestly tell you, most of my job did not come from LinkedIn, did not come from Straits Times newspaper through a paper search at that time. It was basically making friends, talking to people, and kind of selling my way through the years. So networking actually played a huge part, even to where I am today. I would say networking is the first thing you need to do once you graduate. It's not giving your name card like, "Hi, I'm a designer." No, it's really, really making an effort and making a connection. Let's go to the next page. So I've always been a person that I dream really big. Being in Singapore for a long time, I felt like I was really stuck, and I wanted to do more. So I wanted to dream big. And dreaming big, it's easy, but doing it's never easy. And then if you want to go on to study overseas versus working overseas, I can tell you it's not the same. It's two different worlds. Next page, please. I would definitely say, as we always like to say, the world is your oyster. The best thing to do in your life is to challenge yourself, to experience as much as you can, to grow and to change, because you're never going to remain as that one person. And the moment you step in school, you're not going to be the same person once you come out, because of the experiences and the challenges you go through. But it also depends on what your end goal is per se. Let's go to the next page. So moving abroad, I would say staying in Singapore, as we all know, it's very comfortable, it's very structured, it's clean, it's safe. As a woman in the world today, Singapore is a comfort zone for me. Instead of living the Singapore dream, like opening my own agency, having a family, going for BTOs, I wanted more. Comfort and familiarity kind of got bored for me, so that's why I want to go for the global experience, because I've worked in so many brands and I've seen us adapting things from global, whether US or the Europe, and then we are kind of adapting things for APAC itself. So at that time, I've always questioned, like, where is this coming from? How does this global campaign come about? And that was when I actually knew I wanted more. But deep down, it took years to actually decide what I wanted to do per se. And it's really about stepping out my comfort zone and doing as much things as possible. Let's go to the next page. So this is when I kind of question myself and take this quote where it goes, who am I? Who in the world am I? That's a great puzzle. Alice has undergone so much changes in so little time that she doesn't know who she is anymore. Rather than fret over it, though Alice considered her identity crisis to be a fun challenge, it's also thought a great puzzle and to figure it out. So basically, I think all of us are actually going through at that certain stage in life, whether you're 18, 21, 25, even today, 30, I'm still trying to figure out who I am. And stepping out of my comfort zone would be a great way to kind of figure out. You could do that in Singapore too, you know, you could do that anywhere as long you push yourself to the limit. So let's go to the next page. So as I mentioned, comfort zone is something that was too easy for me, and I always want to be different. I never felt like I fit in the Singapore dream or Singapore pressure itself. Like I say, it's always good to step out your comfort zone, to challenge yourself, and with that, you actually get to learn something new about yourself and also learn from your failures. So when I say failures, I've been dying to go overseas for the longest time because I wanted more. I wanted to experience what the other countries are providing. For me, working with international agencies, I met people across the world from Australia, from Europe, from wherever, and I want to be where they are because sometimes you learn so much more from them. So one, I could pick to go to Sydney, I could pick to go to New York, I could pick to go to London immediately. But then it's going from English country to an English country, which makes it again within my comfort zone. At the time, I was given the opportunity to, you know, to decide if I wanted to move to Prague, which is in Czech Republic. If you don't know where it is, it's actually do not call them Eastern Europeans, it's Central Europe. And they don't speak a word of English. They do, but it's very minimal. So that's where I first started to step out my comfort zone. Moved to a country that speaks zero English. Communication were mostly in Czech, especially when it comes to personal problems like health. And when you break a wall and you need to fix that, you need to speak to them in their language. Even not just that, working in a country that doesn't speak your language, you learn about other people, learn about how they speak, how they communicate, how they react. From there, actually, I learned a lot of stuff. And, you know, moving overseas was not easy because there were so many setbacks and failure I had to go through of people telling me, no, you're not good enough. No, you can't speak the language. No, we don't want to hire you. But I set a goal for myself to go through that. And then at the end of the day, you know, London or New York was always my end goal because, as we all know, New York or London would be like the top place to be in advertising. So years living in Czech Republic and being exposed to the European side, I was very lucky to work with a global agency through networking. And then I'm talking about years, a whole full year of like hounding people and like constantly slamming them on LinkedIn to get a chat, to have a coffee. And that's all that matters. That is networking, going out, talk to them, make an impression. And with that, I think if it wasn't for my networking, I would, and going through agencies, we are bound to lose account and lose the job. So to be honest, advertising is quite unpredictable at times. I with my network, we lost the global account for a certain brand, and then because I made networking and kind of make impression on the client side, I managed to go to the client side for a good number of years, and to be in the global marketing perspective was like one of the best thing I've ever done. So I was lucky to go through that, and sadly, I went through it during COVID, and that made me think a lot about what I wanted to do and how I wanted to survive, and questions like going to the hospital and people go like, do you have family here? It makes you think twice because you can't really communicate with them. So on page 13, you realize, I work towards, let's go to the next slide anyway. On page 13, I actually dropped everything, which was a hard decision. And it was the end goal anyway, to move to London. And honestly, working in different cultures, different areas, kind of give you a different perspective. Where in Europe, I have proper work-life balance. I learn how to live in nature, or have that work and life at the same time. Whereas working in London, I kind of did make my end goal and I really worked towards it. But also, I've learned so much from them as a global perspective in the way they work. The working culture is very similar to Singapore, but still have the work-life balance. So that's currently my journey. That's currently where I am in London itself. So that's I would say interesting. This is not just going overseas to study, but actually to really work there and to experience something. I don't think, to me, I feel like working to me, I feel like studying in a country versus working in a country is two different things because you experience two different kind of lifestyle. On to end the note on page 14, I would like to end off this saying that it's no use going back to yesterday because I was a different person yet then. In the book, Alice is undergoing an identity crisis because she has grown and shrunk back down. But the literal conversations that she has with the caterpillar, if you know the book, lends itself to reflection and less of a physical type of change. So this says a lot about our changes in life, our mindset, through the journey we go through, be it in Singapore, be it in London, be it wherever you want to be, you change. And that is your journey. So that is currently my journey. That's my story. Oh, you're on mute.
Yeah. Talking to myself, but amazing. And as I mentioned in our little chat earlier, I think it takes a lot of courage to like say, I'm just going to go out of my comfort zone. I mean, you mentioned that in your slide, but I can imagine that it can't have been an easy or even an overnight decision to just say, I'm going to drop everything here and just go. And, a lot of people, as you say, you'll choose to start out in a somewhat familiar territory. Even if they're going overseas, they're in the UK or somewhere where they can speak English, but you chose the Czech Republic. And were you ever scared at any point?
Uh, I was. Actually, I was given the opportunity at the age of 21 to go elsewhere to stay, but deep down, I wasn't ready to move abroad because, I had so many friends in Singapore. I had my family there. I didn't want to miss out on my friends getting married or like my family during Chinese New Year. All this thing just didn't make me feel I was ready. I felt like I can't go yet. But as I turn older, my friends got married. I'm gonna reveal my age in no time. My friends all got married. They've got kids. And I know that wasn't what I wanted. I wanted more out of the world. They want to do that BTO dream and like get a house, get a kid kind of situation. It was not an easy choice, but having my friends moving on in their life, in their journey, whether it be in banking or being a lawyer and being busy with their partners, with their kids, make me go, what do I want? This is not what I want. I don't want to have let's get a house, a family, a kid kind of situation. It was easy, it was hard at the same time because I was ready. So being ready made it easy for me to move, but it would not be an easy journey when you are there. You think you're ready, but you don't think that you're actually ready until you get there and actually experience like I'm gonna say this from a majority race becoming a minority race because I'm no longer a Chinese in Singapore. I am actually somebody, I'm a nobody there. Everyone there is a Westerner, a Caucasian. I am an alien per se. And that was a tough journey. So no, I was ready, but when I was there, I was not kind of ready. But it takes a while. It takes a while what you want and how much determination and confidence that you want to put to.
I also feel that you ended it by your presentation by saying, your dream come true and you've reached your end goal. But I would venture to guess that with you that that's no end goal. I mean, it's going to keep changing, right? And you're going to keep moving on again towards that next level that you're going to head towards, right?
Yeah,
So for now,
absolutely.
yeah. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah. I was also reflecting on what you said about being a bit of an alien, in that. And that's very interesting because I'm sure Felix will have something to add about that because he was in Japan for 2 years in Tokushima, being an apprentice, right, to indigo dye farmer or dyer or farmer. And the interesting thing is Gillian, you mentioned that you're coming from a place where you are the majority and going into a place where you are obviously clearly visually a minority. Felix has the opposite example where he's moving into a place where he's still visually fitting in, but yet, and that subtle line between insider outsider, that plays out very strongly in Japanese society too. So I'm sure Felix will be able to comment on that too. But I would also like to talk about how design has shaped your journey from graphic design, 2D work, right, and completely different now into account management, right? So that's the other side of the coin. But let me get to that and in a while, and I'll let Felix share his story. So for those of you who don't know, Felix is a graduate of apparel design and merchandising, right, Felix? And didn't graduate so long
That's
ago,
right.
but his dream is the craft of indigo dyeing, and in fact rooted in the larger message of sustainability. And he spent years, I think, working towards getting his dream realized. And I'll let Felix tell you a little bit more. So, Felix, over to you if you can share screen.
All right, so hi everyone. My name is Felix over here today. Uh, I mean, the content I have done up is less of like a curated one. I just want to show like a map of what I really had experienced for the past few couple of years after I graduated from TP. As compared to Jillian, I don't really have a very strong like design or art background for my family members. So really born in just a very normal school that I've been to, and then during one of my O levels, I took art as a subject, and at that point in time, I was really much more intrigued by the exploration of like a mixed medium, and also things that are more organic and 3D, more like our human body. So honestly, back then when I began, I didn't know what design was. I was just enjoying uh, the whole idea of creating, dealing with colors, textures, and trying to think of the box and exploring individuality at that point of time. My parents didn't know how to deal with me. I didn't know how to deal with myself either, and I was just exploring anything that I could get my hands on. So my parents wanted me to do something more academic then, definitely, and so in order to make that happen, that was the first step, and I thought that was a very memorable step that I took, was actually to behind their back, I went to apply for direct poly admission. So that was the only way I can get into a design course without my parents knowing yet. And then, fortunately, I got in by my portfolio that I had built up, and yeah, my design journey started then. I embraced it, and then we had no choice. I mean, after I did well, I just to show that I can study to my parents, just to convince them that I can do what I want to do, and then went on without any other choice I could do. And then, yeah, when I was in TP, trying to figure out who I was at the same time, what have I got myself into, there was a lot of confusion, and also I think we kind of enjoyed our entire time there. So if you look at the slide on the left hand side, that was like one of my works. After being through all the 3 years that I had it back in school, the last bit of school in TP was very emotional to me. We ended off with a huge bang, like always we did a fashion show during the graduation show, and then it was really like a celebration of what we thought defined us then, and a statement to the world like, oh, I'm here to dominate. That's how we thought when we were about to graduate. Uh, Okay, so I submitted my works for a competition under the Audi Star Creation and got shortlisted in the Asia Top 10. So we participated in like this whole judging and then the fashion show in the Big Ten near the Bay Area last time, and it was good. Everything was good. Everything was like sunshine and full of possibilities when I first graduated. Until the day I received my enlistment letter, it went downhill from there. So like, you can see a picture of a pair of boots that I put over there. Being told what to do all the time, just after you graduated, just after you felt that like you can dominate the world with all the possibilities that you have in your head, it felt like a very big creative block for me. So I was hating the situation I was put into all the time. Then like, it was exact opposite of what I felt it's going to be life after graduation. So thinking back, thinking about how so when I was back in NS, I had a time when I was spending a month in Germany for training. So that was when then I started taking I picked up a magazine, and it was a Kinfolk magazine that I was reading, and then trying to get some inspiration, and then I did a lot of like self-reflection then. Um, yeah, then I started thinking actually maybe I wanted to steer towards something that could resonate more with how I feel all this time. So, and that was when I decided maybe fast fashion was not for me, and then I started looking more into the craft, things that are slower. I started to have more appreciation for it. That's why I was reading the Kinfolk, and when I was spending my month training in Germany, that's where there's little or no light pollution there. I actually saw the night sky, and I felt liberated from there. So I took inspiration from this night sky, and then I linked it back to one of the page that I saw on the Kinfolk. If you can see in the picture over there, just above the SQ picture is a picture of a lady holding up an indigo dyed fabric. So I thought it was very nice. So I linked these two ideas up, and I thought, like, in my life again, if I were to feel down, like how I was when I was back in NS, I want to be able to recreate this night sky that liberated me. So these are just simple ideas that I put them together, and I embarked on my journey. Yeah, so I think life for me wasn't as smooth when I stumbled, and then I tried to figure things out. I got this creative block. It was never sunshine after I graduated, and then I had to do a detour. So after I set to want to learn this craft, the next problem popped up, which is to find myself some money. How do I actually get to this craft? How do I actually learn? There were a lot of things that I had to figure out for myself, and to find ways to get there. And no one was able to help me because they have not done it before. They couldn't tell me who do I um, approach to actually do this indigo farming and indigo dyeing thing, which is not available in Singapore at that point in time. So I made a detour. I decided to join SQ for about 3 years to save money, and then surprisingly there were a lot of takeaways. So like along the way when I joined, and then I think that it helped me with a lot of soft skills, which saved me a lot of times when I was in Japan, Japanese work culture. So looking like the Japanese, when they speak to me, they feel that they are speaking to a Japanese. But once I opened my mouth and I started speaking to them, and that's when they realize that, oh, this guy is a foreigner, and then you get to see this wall build up. And only after a while, it takes me a lot more to break down their walls, to get in, to feel close to them, to do business with them, and to actually learn from their culture. Yeah, so it took me a lot of time to get there, but surprisingly, along the way, the skills that I picked up actually helped me. And yeah, and when I was in the HQ time, I managed to meet a lot of people, different people, passengers and crew, and then I get to explain about this craft that nobody actually heard of, and that's when I get to streamline how I want to explain something that I want to achieve by judging from their reaction and how they can perceive it, how the general public actually perceive it. Yeah, so with all these, then I actually um, went to Japan to during the time when I was in SQ, I went to study Japanese language. I picked it up, and then I went over um, to meet the counterparts and understand more about it. And that's when I became friends with them. So when I felt that it was ready, I popped the golden question, and they allowed me to get an employment with them. So it was a really long journey for me to get there. I planned out like a 5 year span for myself, and they never stopped there ever since then. Actually, I was never actually close to what I dreamed of doing when I first graduated. Yeah, and then the last few pictures you see on the right hand side, actually those are also memories that I thought that actually along the way when I am out after school, a lot of decisions that I made these days are all shaped from my experience, which is a trip to Nepal, and also I started doing some scuba dive, and when I saw the beauty of life underwater, and also I'm in a high altitude, I was very grateful for it. But behind there were also a lot of problems that I saw, and they are all etched at the back of my head. So when I saw these children living in very close proximity to trash, then I felt that I really wanted to do something about it. And that's when whatever I'm doing right now is all um, something to tackle what I have experienced before when I was there experiencing them. Yeah, next please. Uh, so you take a look at it. Maybe not everybody. Some people get a shock seeing such a few hands. Those are natural dye that I deal with, and then I never thought that when I was younger I wanted to be a designer. I never thought that I was going to aim to become a craftsman, And after entering the craft itself, I find out that it's a lot more interconnected to a lot of things. And then that opened me up to dreaming more, to become an urban farmer, to be a fermenter, to be an indigo dyer. And being the biggest change for me, I feel that has impacted me is my time in Japan. So when I was there, I spent a lot of time with the local community people, and that's when I found out about a lot of different practices um, of how they deal with problems like trash problems and how their way of life is very different. And I felt that like there was a feeling that I got from the older folks around in the region that has helped me to do the conscious decision that yeah, I want to do this and I want to reposition myself and launch towards a figure I hope I can be, become sitting more comfortably in this role. So it's really less of all these big dreams, but all the feelings that I've got, the experience that have shaped me to who I am today and what am I doing today. Yeah, next please. Yeah, so when I was there, I never thought I would become like under the hot sun. A fashion designer don't really stand under the hot sun, flipping leaves and then farming over there. And but then that's when I first saw the full production process behind a craft, and that I felt the appreciation for it, and I really want to share it to the rest of the world. That or at least my loved ones back at home over here. Yeah, next. Yeah, and showing a picture of the ingredients that we have in natural indigo dye. So in this picture, actually shows a very simple four ingredients, but it has a lot more depth in it. And everything is very natural that way. But in order to achieve or in order to get these ingredients, there are a lot of stories with the community, story with the people. That I feel that like design is not just about aesthetics or beautifying things, and I started to find out a lot more about designing for a community, problem solving for um, the environment, for example, just really to pay back to the people around who you thought has contributed to you. And that's why I mean, I spend a lot of time out. I get further and further. So when I was studying in TP. I used to stay in the west side, so I go to TP, and then I started traveling out. So as the SQ, I started to fly overseas, but I still come back, and then I got a job in Japan. That's when I left, yeah, for about 2 years. And now that I came back, um, I feel that like only when I was out there that I felt that actually Singapore is where I want to be. Mm. If I never have left, I have never thought that I will stay in Singapore to do this craft. Yeah, until I was out and looking back again. Next, please. Yeah. So, I mean, when I came back, everyone got a shock, and or even every time when I left, okay, when I left, everyone got a shock. When I came back, everyone got a shock as well. Um, I think I tested enough the boundaries, and they never expected I will go this far. And then the sorry, let me just skip this point. I had mentioned it just now. So when I'm back this time around, I started this platform called the Good Riddance, and that like, I want to bring the whole theory of what I saw back in Japan that has helped the community as a design solution to our problem back in Singapore. So I started something small over here, bringing the craft back, and hopefully I want to localize all the stuff that I have here in Singapore to localize this craft with whatever we have in Singapore and then like offer it to people as a design solution. Yeah, that's all I have that.
Okay, thank you so much. I think just a question for you, Felix. Are you able to farm indigo right here in Singapore, or this is not possible? You know, given the lack of space and so on.
Lack of space is definitely the biggest problem or challenge that I have. But actually, the indigo plant flies in hot and humid weather, so it's actually suitable for us.
So, do you plant your own here when you conduct workshops and all that? Is this the what you get from your own cultivation here, or do you have to bring that in from Japan?
I brought the seeds back and I'm growing the plants here in Singapore. I'm trying to test them out and I'm applying for like plots of land, like community plots of land in Singapore to actually grow them in small patches actually.
I recall, years ago when I think you were in SQ and Vani told me that Felix is in SQ because he wants to earn enough money to go to Japan. I'm like, he's so single-minded in what he wants, that, and he's so clear, it has to be Japan because he wants to be an indigo farmer. And I'm like, is this the feelings that I knew? I mean, you came from a very buoyant field, and I remember you as someone, who was really very dramatic in your dressing and all that. Um, and fashion, right? I mean, you spoke rightly about fast fashion, and here you are being trained in fashion and having that revelation, that you wanted to completely move in a different direction, but yet somehow, bring that back here and possibly infuse it into the local scene, the local community. Um, takes a lot of planning. Was that always the case for you?
No, actually, when I first came back late last year, I only wanted to do this for fun, just to show my friends what have I been up to the 2 years when I was in Japan, and everything became very serious very quickly. I started getting a lot more traction, and then that's when I started this label, and I thought like maybe I would just stay here for good, and I tried to make it happen for myself. It's a little premature, but the COVID kind of helped me with this last push.
I, I like the way you mentioned that after graduation you had that top of the world feeling, world domination awaits, and Gillian, can you identify with that? Just after graduation with that whole like everything is possible type of a feeling, and then moving on into NS and realizing that oh no, it's such a big drop from there again. Yeah, but I thought it was interesting to see that in Gillian's case, she took multiple jobs, different types of job. I mean, I remember hearing something like Pilates instructor even, to get where you are. And Felix concentrated purely in a maximum amount of money, SQ, flying, the flying allowances, and just to chalk all that up. What was that one thing, if both of you can share, that led you to say, okay, plan A, this is what I'm going to do. What was that first thing that you thought of in achieving that dream? In Julian's case, for example, did you know that it has to be Czech Republic? What was that one move out?
No, honestly, there was never a, oh my God, I need to go Czech Republic. No one has ever thought, I tell people I'm going Czech Republic. The first thing they go is, what? Where's that? I don't understand if that country even existed because we don't talk about it as much on our side. Unless our parents are going Czech Republic, then we would know it exists. Or Czechoslovakia, as they would know back then. Um, it's never a goal. Like things is always changing for me. Like I met somebody in Singapore. He was going to Czech Republic. That kind of gave me the push to go there as well. I was trying to move to Sydney for the longest time, but it was impossible to do anything. So moving abroad has always been that goal. But the question is how and what and when. If the opportunity comes and gives you that, you go, are you going to do it? If you are, go give it a try, go and see. If you don't like it, go back home. If you do like it and you think, okay, I want to challenge myself, I want to grow, let's do it.
Yeah, so that's that courage that I was talking about, that let's do it, let's be open and let's go and try. Um, Not many people have that kind of resilience, to try and fail if necessary, to come back. Felix, in your case, what made you choose Japan? Indigo dyeing is actually a craft that's available widely in East Asia. China, I know, and the Koreans do it as well, and of course the Japanese. But why Japan?
It was all by coincidence. I actually planned to go to China or India where I have no language barrier. But just before I got into rescue, I met a Japanese craftsman in Singapore who conducted an indigo dye workshop. So when I spoke to them and I liked their vibe, then that's why I thought, okay, why not? I mean, I have always been a fan of Japanese culture as well. So it's all by coincidence.
Did you have to cold call the person in Tokushima, to find out whether you could get a place there, or how did that work out?
Yeah, I did. So with my very limited Japanese, then I actually sent them an email asking if I can do a workshop with them at their place, and if there's a chance, are they able to allow me to stay for a longer period of time just to see what are they up to in that period. So they agreed, but they also told me that like indigo farming and dyeing is a year-round activity, so I don't get to see every part of the process, and that's actually got me hungry. So every time when I have a break or when I'm on leave, I will fly over as much as I can just to join them and volunteer with them to farm.
Okay, thanks so much. And I'm very mindful that we are a little bit short on time already. And so I would end today's session with maybe input from Gillian and from Felix. What advice would you give to today's design students who are in design school, in terms of pursuing their dreams? What would you say to them? Or what would you say to your 16-year-old self, if you could meet this person again?
As much as I want to be very sweary, I will not. Because I do swear a lot. Because I'm in the UK. No, I honestly, I tell this to my younger cousins as well. I say, look, and my friends who's like a couple years younger than me, I go like, look, nobody ever know what they want to do. I'm like that age. I still don't know what I want to do. I know that's my goal. A life is a complete journey. Um, if design is something that is an interest, go try it. If you don't like it, there's no harm being a failure at it. Just fail at it, because every failure you get better. Even if you fail and your parents go, oh, you're useless, that is complete BS. Because you need to fear. You need to really fear and fail in life to get better. Because if you don't, you'll be in your comfort zone.
Agree. I can't agree more. That's really productive failure, and that's what we do in design every day. I mean, we try and try and try, right? Felix,
Yeah.
would you like to close today's session?
I completely agree with what Jillian said. For myself, if I were to tell myself something, it would be to trust the process. Mm. Like you never know where you'll get to, and you never know what are the kind of detours that you need to take along the way just to achieve your goal. And your goal might change halfway through when you're trying to get there. And yeah, there's no point being hard on yourself when you have to change, or when you at the end of the day don't show that you are close to your goal. To the rest of the people who are around is perfectly fine. Yeah, just trusting the process and ensuring that like taking your own evaluation along the way is the most important thing.
Okay. Thank you so much, Gillian and Felix, for being with us in our very first ever since young series. And this is going out during the open house. So all of you 16-year-olds out there listening in and watching, or parents, trust the process, right? The journey is long, and you guys are just beginning. On that note, thank you everyone, and stay safe. See you around. Thanks, Gillian. Thanks, Felix. Bye bye.
Yeah,
Okay, I'll see you
thanks,
around.
Jillian. See you around. Bye.
Bye.
Have a nice day. Bye.